What is up, guys? What is up? Jay Bynum back again for Ecclesia Arkansas Shorts channel. I wanted to come by and give you guys a quick teaching. I was my daily uh I would say spiritual exercise that I'm normally in when I get my teachings, and it's not some weird stuff. It's basically I just go and I exercise and I listen to the word. And the Lord uh pressed it upon my heart. So some specific verses came out to me um while I was listening to the word today, and I just felt it necessary to do a short broadcast. And it would be nice to have some short, small teachings um on my shorts channel. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to get into the meat of an issue that the Lord wanted me to bring up, and He simply asked me this question after reading this first verse in Luke. It's actually two verses, but I'll go through it real quickly. But He basically asked me the question, "Who is hungry among you?" And that question was a question that he wasn't really necessarily asking me. He was asking the body of Christ. Who is hungry among you? Are you feeding the sheep? Are you doing what God called Peter to do? Are you worshiping the Father in spirit and truth? Are you being an example of what it means to have the message of Yeshua in your heart? And that only comes with knowing the message of Yeshua. And I just wanted to go real quick and just go over just about three verses or three sections of verses. And it's because it was just so heavy upon me today, and I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And then I started, I just basically just yielded over to the Spirit, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to talk about this. So to answer the question, answer it yourself. Okay, right there, just ask yourself right now, who is hungry among you? And it's okay if you don't know that answer, but it's a question to get you to start looking for the hungry among us, because we're going to need to start feeding them. And most of the people who I'm speaking to, you are people who have been watching my channel for a good minute. You're people who agree with the Spirit that, the Holy Spirit that we're all under, and or at least we should be. And there's a lot of confirmations on the public square when I do a teaching, and I really love seeing that. But then again, it also isn't about me; it's about the Spirit and the Spirit of truth. So, what I want to do is just go through this teaching really quickly, and I want I want you to start, if you can, if you feel comfortable, looking out for the hungry among you. And it's not a physical hunger. You can easily see when someone is barren, and doesn't have a lot of food, or just looks starving. I mean, you can tell that. That's a physical thing that you can see. But it's a spiritual starvation of spirit and in truth that we just have today. So I just want to go through this teaching. Hopefully, I can make it under 15 minutes. But it starts here in Luke 6:43 through 45. And it says, "For a good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. A tree is identified by its fruit. Figs are never gathered from thorn bushes, and grapes are not picked from bramble bushes. A good person produce good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. For what flows, for what you say, or for what you say flows from what is in your heart," is what he's saying here. And this is Yeshua speaking. Now, we must ask ourselves, what then is in our heart? What's our heart condition? Is our heart conditioned to hear and be reactive and receptive to the teachings of Yeshua? Because if you're there and you know the teachings of Yeshua, are you feeding the hungry? Are you producing good fruit to those who are hungry spiritually and in truth? So let me go ahead, and this is a good question. So just ask yourself that. The next thing is 2 Timothy 2:15 through 21. For work hard so that you can present yourself to God as and receive his approval. Be a good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly explains the word of truth. Very important here. Avoid worthless, foolish talk that only leads to godless behavior. For the all kinds of talk spreads like cancer, and it is in the case of um I don't know if I could pronounce this, but Herminius and um Fetitis. Sorry, I probably butchered it so bad, but it's, you know what I'm talking about here. So the thing is that what we say is very important. And speaking in truth, so explaining what is in our hearts of the truth. Okay, the word of truth. That is bringing people. That is worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth. Okay, so when we see people who are spiritually hungry, we can try to feed them, but please avoid foolish talk. If you're having somebody who's not receiving the good fruit that you produce, it's okay to avoid foolish talk. It's okay to turn your head. You can now they've heard the message. Now all you got to do is pray for them. It's not your job to turn their hearts. It's your job to speak the words in spirit and in truth. So, they have left the path of truth, and he's referring to these two people up here, which I will not try to pronounce their names again, claiming that the resurrection of the dead has already occurred, and in this way they have turned people from away from the faith, the true faith. But God's truth stands firm like a foundation stone that is inscribed, where the Lord knows those who are his, and all who belong to the Lord must turn away from evil. This is a very important saying, because this says that the foundation of God's truth will be proven in people's hearts, so that when they hear the message that you give them, this will shine through to be true. For the Lord knows his children and who are his, and they will turn away from evil. So just keep speaking and feeding the hungry. If they don't want to hear it, that's up to them. Okay? That they have free will. A wealthy home, um, a wealthy home, some utensils are made of gold and silver, and some are made of wood and clay. Okay, in a wealthy home. The expensive utensils are used for special occasions, and the cheap ones are used for everyday use. If you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. So, your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the Master to use you for every good work. And what this is saying here is that a really good work to be used for the Lord is worshiping the Father in spirit and truth for the abundance of what is in your heart. So, what you say flows from your heart. So, the message of Yeshua should be in your heart. And if it's not, then that's okay. You're not meant to speak yet. But try to train yourself, if you can, to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. This is why I'm bringing this up, because the Spirit is asking, who among you are hungry? Who among us are hungry? Can we see people hungry for spirit and hungry for truth? I'm telling you guys, I truly believe that very soon there's going to be people who are going to be fruits out there without trees, and they're going to want to be harvested, guys. So prepare yourself to be feeding the hungry among us. Be looking out for it, because I think it's very important very soon. My final verse that I'm going to be feeding you today is going to be found in John 4:23 through 24. And Jesus is talking to the Samaritan woman, and he is saying, The time has come where indeed the time has come, indeed the time is here now, when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. And the Father is looking for those who will worship him in that way. For God is spirit, so that those who are his must worship him in spirit and in truth. So, I guess the conclusion that you can get out of these verses and why the Spirit had it upon my heart to ask this question, who is hungry among you, is just like I said, we definitely need to be looking out for the people who are spiritually and truthfully hungry in this time coming up, because there's going to be an opportunity for us to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. And Yeshua himself has said that the Father is looking for those who will worship him in that way. I want to tell you and be completely honest. We don't have to wait to have it all. We don't have to wait to be the perfect preacher or the perfect teacher. If we are waiting for that, you're never going to utter a word. So just keep your eyes out for the people among you that are hungry, so that you, out of abundance of your heart, will flow a treasury of good things, good fruit, okay? You will be a good fruit producer, right? And you will be able to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. And I just wanted to make sure that we highlight this verse 2. The reason why I read it is because it says at the very beginning to work hard to present yourself, okay? Present yourself to God and receive his approval. Be a good worker, all right? One who does not is ashamed of who correctly explains the truth, all right? So these are really good guidelines to follow. This is a great start. So if you've ever wanted to speak to people and worship the Father in spirit and in truth, these 3 verses can help you out a lot, okay? Knowing what the Father's looking for, knowing what Yeshua said the Father's looking for, knowing what Paul said in 2 Timothy about those who are hard workers, who should be ready to correctly explain the truth. Remember that word, correctly. So even if you don't have the answers correctly, you can always say, look, hey, let me pause. Let me go find it in the Bible so I can correctly explain to you the truth, okay? So this is worshiping the Father in spirit and truth. It's looking out for those who are hungry among us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time on the Ecclesia Arkansas Shorts channel. God bless. Have a good one, everyone.